Lego fans, Star Wars fans, welcome to another episode of Lobricks. This is the YouTube video series where we talk all things Legos and Star Wars, and in particular we are building a giant Tatooine MOC out of Legos on an old barf-ridden ping pong table. And I'm adding this to the intro this week that we're planning to bring to the 2021 Brick World in Chicago, June 20th and 21st of 2021. Fingers crossed that it's happened. We're planning on bringing the MOC there. And the reason I mention that right now is this episode is very special. We have hit the halfway point on the MOC. Half of it is behind us, and we have the rest to build in the coming episodes. So before I get into that, make sure you like this video. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and please subscribe. And tell your friends and family about it if you like the videos, as we love to have more people watching. And as always, you can leave your feedback and comments below. And in this episode in particular, we're very interested in your feedback because we are going to be taking you through the second half of the plan. Actually, all the pieces that we want to do remaining. We're actually going to change a couple of things. Before we had the Sarlacc pit, and now since we've seen Mandalorian revisit Tatooine, there's some cool stuff on there we might want to do instead. So we plan to make a few changes. And then at the end of the video, we are going to put the very first pieces of the second half of the MOC build on the board today. So make sure you stick around to the end. So with that, let's jump into it, and let's start by taking a look at the plan.
R5! Bring the map of Tatooine! Waiting.
So hopefully you guys have seen this before. This is our original plan for the Tatooine MOC. We made a couple of minor updates and modifications, but the three main areas are Mos Eisley, the Dune Sea Jundland Wastes, and then what I would call Jabba's Adventures, Jabba's Palace, and the Sarlacc Pit. So let's take a quick look at the current state of the MOC. All right, that might have been a little too quick. So let's put some X's by each section that we've either started or in process of completing or have completed. So let's start with the bottom left, which is Ben's Hut and Mountain. Then we got Mos Eisley. Then we have the Sandcrawler. We have the crash site and the Jundland Wastes. And finally, the Dune Sea. So these are all the parts that we have in progress, are done, or mostly done. So now let's look at the three remaining areas that we still have to do, which is Beggar's Canyon, Jabba's Palace, and the Sarlacc Pit. Now, Beggar's Canyon and the mountain range next to it, right under the Sandcrawler, and Jabba's Palace, we're pretty much locked in on what we're going to do, and we're going to show you that today. And but the part that we're still considering is the Sarlacc Pit. And we're actually thinking of adding another piece to the Dune Sea, which is the city of Mos Pelgo from Episode 1, Season 2 of The Mandalorian on Disney+. And then the other thing we wanted to add from the same episode, kind of in place of the Sarlacc Pit, is the Sarlacc Cave where the Krayt Dragon attacks. So here's a look at the new plan where we have the Sarlacc Krayt Dragon Cave in the upper right hand corner. And so for now we're planning to swap out the old Sarlacc Pit scene from Return of the Jedi with this scene. But we definitely want to hear your feedback. And then in addition, we also want to add Mos Pelgo to the plan. So let us know what you think, but as of now, that's what we're planning to do. All right, now that we've shown you the updated plan, we wanted to take you through the list of what's left. So there's 8 final pieces that we want to build onto the Tatooine MOC that we're going to walk you through. But this doesn't necessarily mean these are in order of how we're going to build them, and it also doesn't necessarily mean we only have 8 episodes left. However, I would like to get them done in the fewest episodes as possible because the registration for Brickworld, the Chicago Lego Convention in 2021, starts on December 2nd of this year, 2020. And it's early November, so we really have to get this done. And one thing that I'm not sure of, and I'm going to still do some checking, is do I need to have the MOC completed? I know we have to submit pictures in the MOC, and it has to be on a 4x8 table, which this one is. Those are all questions we're going to answer later. But for now, let's take you through the final 8 pieces that we're going to build on the MOC. So the first one is the Mountains of the Jundland Wastes. And here's a picture of what it looks like today with R2-D2 in the mountains. And as you can see, they're not complete. They don't have details. Here's a picture of the mountain with Ben's hut on the top. We wanted to have it similar to this in the amount of details we have, although the color scheme is a little different. The number 2 on the list is Mos Eisley ground cover. So this is really kind of adding more texture overall to the ground of Mos Eisley, but also adding a road. As you see, we're flying through here, a dark tan road on Mos Eisley. And you might have seen off to the left there that there was some new buildings. That's a new marketplace that my assistant has added, and he'll be telling you in a video very soon. But we also wanted to add some ground cover inside of the cantina, also kind of a darker tan look. That is going to be a little more difficult because we're going to have to move the patrons out to lay that down. The number 3 on the list is the Sarlacc Crate Dragon Cave that we just started thinking about, so we don't have any pictures to show yet. And the number 4 is Dune Sea ground cover and boundaries, which we actually are going to cover a little later in this episode. It's one of the things we're going to start to put on the board today. And coming in at number 5 on the list is Mos Eisley Tower. And to talk about this a little more, let's go back to the board. Now between Mos Eisley and the middle section of the Dune Sea, this is kind of our borderline here. And I'll lay this brick remover to kind of show you. We want to do something similar by drawing a border and creating separation between Mos Eisley and the Dune Sea and the Jundland Wastes, because that's kind of close there. Now, one thing my assistant is saying, and I kind of agree with him, is in order to make that separation, this building might have to go. And to be completely honest with you, we've never been quite happy with that building. It's a little amateurish compared to the rest of Mos Eisley. And since that building's got to go, we're going to replace it with this tower, as here pictured at the end of Return of the Jedi Special Edition. It's going to be a little challenging, but I think we are up for it. Then coming in at number 6 is Jabba's Palace. And here's a picture of it from Return of the Jedi. And my assistant actually in his younger days got the Jabba Palace Lego set for Christmas. And I think we are going to start with this set pictured here. But we might have to expand upon it and make it a little more jazzy. Number 7, which we already talked about, is Mos Pelgo. And then coming in at number 8 is really just cleanup. We're probably going to add some more minifigures to the board. We're going to want to add some more ground cover, probably even it all out, and make it look pretty. All right, now that you've seen the rest of the plan and the steps of how we plan to get there, culminating in us applying for Brickworld in December, let's build some Legos, because that's the fun stuff. That's why you come to watch these videos. So we are going to be building the final dune in the Dune Sea. We'll show you a speed build of that. And then we're going to show you how we plan to separate the parts of the MOC from each other, starting with the border between the Dune Sea, Jabba's Palace, and the Sarlacc Pit. And really what we wanted to do was have each section be different but separate, so it makes it more interesting. So let's build some Legos. All right, well, there is the third sand dune, right next to the other two and the skeleton of the Crate Dragon. Let's get a 360 view of it here. And of course, there's the twin sons of Tatooine. So that is pretty much going to do it for the Dune Sea. We are going to add a little more ground cover, some plates to give it a little texture. But now let's show you how we're going to separate the sections. And how we plan to separate the sections of the MOC are with these 4x2 plates, and use these for starters to lay them down around the boundary. In this case, between the Dune Sea and the Jabba Palace Sarlacc area. And it's a little boring to watch us just put plates down, so we will skip to the end here. Okay, let's do one last big pan over of the MOC. There is the new boundary area we just laid with those plates. We're planning to do the same thing over on this side of the board, as we mentioned earlier, between Mos Eisley and the Jundland Wastes, and the Dune Sea, and this new area. And there's a little sneak preview of things to come we talked about earlier. So we do plan to add on to this boundary, building a little sand hill, something to show separation between the sections, so each section kind of stands on its own. So there's kind of a look at the first pass at that. Definitely more to come in a future episode and finishing out the boundary. Right, well that just about does it for this week on Lobricks. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Once again, make sure you like the video. Please hit subscribe and we're definitely interested in your comments and feedback this week. We're kind of over the hill now. We've gotten the first half done. We've got the first pieces of the second half on. Can't wait to get this thing done. So join us here next week on same time, same channel every Wednesday. And we are doing Friday episodes, either an assistant episode or Mandalorian review, so make sure you check that out. Also, catch me on Tales from the Darkside podcast, which I'll put a link in the description below. And you guys all have a great week, and we will see you next week. Bye.